just waiting for bread. Once I built a railroad, I made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Brother,
United said, hey, we need to do something to honor the second anniversary of Occupy, and we want to push back against the global austerity measures, which means cutting social programs. Nobody's got any money. So, for instance, austerity, and what austerity means to me, means broken links in the social fabric. It means that I have to wear glasses that are broken and ill-fitting. It means I haven't seen a dentist in 4 or 5 years. It means that I don't have money to go to a lawyer. It means that the professional class doesn't link up with me anymore. A situation in which there is not much money and it is spent only on things that are necessary. Well, I don't have to go to the doctor. I don't have to go to the dentist, the optometrist, the dermatologist. Those are things that are no longer necessary for me. I have to buy food, put gas in the car sometimes. That's what austerity means to me, is a fraying of the social fabric. What does austerity mean to you?
Well, I mean, you summed it up pretty well, but
for you personally?
Well, for me, I guess, doing, getting put on the spot here. Just doing what it is you have to do to survive. Just the basic necessities. You gotta have a shower, you have to be clean, to be able to have food and a place to live. But where I want to go, where I want to be, I want austerity to not even be a factor. Like money, situation in which there's not much money. I believe money should be non-existent. We should get into a self-sustainable way of living, resource-based economies. Because ever since money has been introduced into the human system, it's just been a path of destruction. So that's where I'm at.
And the dictionary definition, in case anybody would like to refresh themselves.
That's a dictionary definition? There's not much money? Doesn't sound like Webster.
Well, okay, it came off of the online Webster's.
Dictionary, did they actually say things that are necessary instead of things which are necessary? That's actually, the word does not match. The phrase should be, it is spent only on things which are necessary.
Well, they went that. Well, part of the austerity is we cut education.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. You got it.
But would you just record what austerity means to you?
I got something to say. I think that the money addicts and the warmongers and the job producers ought to pay for it. To pass it on to the people is just the height of dishonesty and anti-democratic. And I'm hoping that what's going to happen is that the people are going to get together and figure out how to live without the consumerism, how to cooperate and just not need all those people. It's going to be really hard, but the way we'll get through it is to join together and cooperate. Can't get money bled out of a turnip.
They try.
Well, there's plenty for everybody, so it's what they do and how they handle it. So there really shouldn't even need to be any austerity for decades. There's enough. There's enough for everyone to have what they need, which is food, clothing, shelter, education, art. Not a whole lot. We don't really need a whole lot, any of us. But there's a very few people
The austerity measures that our government has placed on us make me angry. They make me very, very angry because they originated so that the banks could be paid back the money that the banks lost. And the banks made back that money 10 times over already. And we just want, our country just wants to continue spending money on war. And the people who are being asked to be austere, is that a word? Are the people who can least afford it already. And that makes me mad.
Well said.
Well, I guess my thoughts on it. Austerity and shortages, they made up. They're fiction. They're not there. There actually is enough to go around. As was pointed out to a whole bunch of us by none other than Buckminster Fuller. I happened to have the good fortune to see him give a speech in 1986, back in Maine. And he pointed out that this idea of shortages, no, there are no shortages. There actually is enough to go around. We're just not managing it properly. Okay. Which kind of people is it who gain by perpetrating the fiction that all these shortages are there? They're not there. Pardon, folks. There is plenty to go around if we manage it properly. So austerity is not necessary. Austerity hasn't affected me a whole lot, but it certainly did affect my employer and a number of my previous employers who keep on finding over and over again when they want to hire skilled help, there isn't any to be had. I've worked as a mechanic for the past 40 years and reasonably skilled at it. My previous employers, in 2 or 3 cases, when they found they had to find a person who was highly skilled, who knew how to do stuff, those people weren't there. They're not being trained. Our school system is not training people to work on machinery. It's not training people in math. It's not training people in the properties of materials. We are the United States of America. We used to be able to send people to the moon. We are now no longer able to do that. That's the result of your damned austerity measures, Mr. Bush. Thank you very much.
And
A lot of Republicans are.
what do they think about austerity measures?
They think, the poor people are pulling the world down with them.
It's the poor people pulling the world down because we're lazy and shiftless and refuse to get jobs.
I can't tell you. No, I'm amazed. A lot of people don't know history. 75% of the white people in the colonies prior to the revolution were what you call indentured servants. Okay?
Yeah.
They're essentially debt slaves.
Right?
And one of the best ways to enslave people is to put them in debt.
Right.
If you can't get an exact debt, then you invent a debt. And that's essentially what Republicans are doing right now. What they did is they took this economy, and they took and they made a big crap and they put it in your front yard and said, "There, you got to go clean it up." And that's essentially what's going on.
I thought we should have a poop polishing parade where we say, "Oh, the unemployment numbers are down," but it's because they're not counting the long-term unemployed.
Remember NAFTA? Okay?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Now
When
we're
they
getting
really started moving the jobs to Asia, is when they started bringing the oil down out of Alaska. It's high sulfur crude. They use it in ships' boilers. That's what fuels this trans-Pacific trade. We've known that oil was there. When the Japanese invaded the Aleutians, they knew it was there. When the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, they made a terrible mistake. They didn't hit the tank farm behind the base, and that's what fueled our power in the Pacific.
I didn't know that.
Right? No, they don't
But I
tell
do
you.
know that the Trans-Pacific Partnership is coming through, and that's NAFTA on steroids.
And that is what this tar sands oil will be fueling. It's high sulfur fuel, the same as the crap that comes out of Alaska. And that's what's going to be fueling, you know, these trades. It'll actually be fueling outsourcing.
And they promote it because it creates jobs here.
The
at
right
home.
job.
Jobs.
Yeah, right, the job.
Yeah, what Chuck asked me was, he says, think about austerity. He says, think of something that you want to say about austerity. And I said, what hasn't been said already about austerity? I said to myself, and I was wondering, I couldn't say anything profound. I couldn't say anything that was any different or, you know, deeper than what others have said. You know, so in my own thoughts, I got pretty sarcastic, and you know, with my set, and I said, well, what is austerity? Well, austerity actually has been incorporated. And since it's been incorporated, it makes it a corporation. Therefore, it is a person. And if it's a person, then it now has to have a name, and its name is government. And government now is playing the role of the people now. They're the father of the people, and they, you know, and we being the foster children of the government, you know, they're coming down pretty hard on us, you know.
Red-headed stepchild.
We're already all of a sudden all turned into redheads, and so, but you know, the austerity program starts with the government, you know, denying the people what they should have in order to be able to live and make a livable wage, and so on and so on. I mean, why do we have such a terrible fight in Congress just trying to raise the most basic, you know, the minimum wage law and all that, when we're already behind 10, 15, 20 years, even more than that, you know, probably about 30 years that they should have started raising. We should come up to now about $14, $15. It's ridiculous, but the government is the one that's controlled by the corporations. And since it's controlled by the corporations, none of that will ever happen. So there's only one avenue left for us to do, and that is to take over the government and to control the government again.
This government overthrew an elected government in Honduras because the president of that government wanted to institute a minimum wage. The military coup and all the death squads started coming in. These multinationals really want to kill them. They want to bring back slavery. That's the ideal world.
We've already got it. I mean, with people working 2 and 3 part-time jobs
Sure.
and still can't pay the rent
And
and
if
pay
they're
the babysitter.
collecting food stamps, they're going to cut that out too. You know, I'm Thursday at the food bank, and you know, I get to see it.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And my friend Billy points out that with all the natural and organic that's good for you being so expensive, the government is going to be left as the purchaser for the GMO-laden and non-nutritious high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah,
Bad for you.
most of the stuff we give out is crap.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's
That's what austerity means.
So tell me what austerity means to you.
Well, I recently had an experience. I came home one day, opened up the mail, and got a letter from Section 8, because I'm on Section 8 housing. And I've been allowed to have a 2-bedroom apartment because of my disability. It's been approved for years. And all of a sudden, because of the budget cuts and austerity, I was going to lose my housing, and it wasn't even 2 months' notice. And I just moved in there a year ago. It was the 16th place I looked at because of my disability. I have to find something that's safe for me chemically. and fragrance-wise, it's because of my illness. And I would have had to go down to a one-bedroom and paid $166 more for a one-bedroom rather than keep my two-bedroom for $166 less. So austerity to me equals terrorism, that our government is acting like terrorists, and luckily that I know that I have some rights, and I got in touch with the Americans for Disability Act people and found I needed a letter from my doctor, and I was going to appeal it. My doctor wrote a letter, and then Section 8 people had to meet and make their decision. It took them about 2 weeks or longer to make their decision, to go through this process. And, you know, I was okay to keep my home where I've been living for a year, because I don't think I could take the stress of having to move again, and I probably would have ended up homeless like so many other folk, and, you know, through no fault of my own. I'm 65 years old, and to have to move again and, you know, pay for the move, you know, get help moving physically, find a safe place that I could tolerate, you know, it drains your hope, and it drains the life out of you, because you don't really know if you can have a place to live. And if I would have had to pay another $166, that would have affected my food intake. So I guess I'm one of the lucky ones that I know, you know, that I can fight when I have to fight and hold the government accountable. So that's what austerity meant to me. It means living in terror.
Thank you, and I'm glad things worked out for you.
Yeah.
Once I built a railroad, I made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done.